Let's bring in someone who can tell us a little bit more about the emblem. Talk TV's Royal Editor, Sarah Hewson. Well, there's always a lot of symbolism in these sorts of things, all the heraldry and everything else that goes along with it. Sarah, what can you tell us about the emblem?
Well, you just saw it there, Peter, and it is in the colours of the Union flag, red, white and blue. And the emblem has been designed to incorporate the flora and fauna of the United Kingdom. So the rose of England, the thistle of Scotland, the daffodil of Wales, and the shamrock of Northern Ireland. And it is supposed to represent and symbolise the King's love of the natural world and the optimism of spring, a new beginning.
And there's something interesting about the designer. Tell me more.
Yeah, it may not seem a typical partnership on paper, but this has been designed by Sir Johnny Ive, the designer of all things Apple, the iPhone in particular. It turns out that he has previously worked with the King, actually the formerly Prince Charles. He designed the terracotta seal for the Prince of Wales's sustainability initiative back in 2021. That proved a hit, and so he's been brought in again to design this very symbolic and historic emblem.
When Queen Elizabeth II was anointed in the ceremony, well, first of all, her coronation was broadcast on television, right? Never happened before. But there was a component of the actual ceremony that she believed was too sacred, too much involved in a spiritual sense to be broadcast on television. And of course, that was done very privately. This is the anointing of the monarch. There's a story behind the anointing and the oil itself, and we know a little bit more about it after the weekend.
Yeah, this is a really lovely story, Peter. As you say, the anointing with holy oil is the most sacred part of the coronation service. The Queen's was taking place under a canopy, not seen before the cameras. That might change for King Charles. There also might be a change in oil. There is some surplus oil left over from 1953, which has been kept safe, but they're not sure whether it will have been preserved well enough to be used. So back in 2000, a pharmacist from Hull in the north of England, working in a pharmacy on a housing estate, was approached and asked to produce a new coronation oil. That he has done, and for 23 years it's been kept in a vault in London, ready for this moment. He doesn't yet know whether or not his oil is going to be used, but he will be finding out in the coming weeks. What a moment for him, and what must have been going through his head as he was preparing that very sacred oil in that rather incongruous location.
Right, just before we go, Harry and Meghan on, off. The latest reports I had read is that they'll get an invitation, but they need a quick RSVP. Why is that?
Yeah, they will want to avoid any kind of overshadowing of the King's coronation. They'll want to know whether they're coming, and then they can put in plans. I think they'll be modelling this on the Platinum Jubilee, which went rather well. Let's not forget, though, the coronation is happening after Netflix and Spare. So let's see how it all goes. But they are going to be getting an invitation in the coming week.
And they're not on the balcony, and they're not in the front lights. They're treated like minor royals, more or less, aren't they, Sarah?
Indeed, they are. We won't be seeing them front and centre.